Right, so this is the third video in our, since we've been looking at Rails. In the first video we just introduced the basic concepts of Rails. In the second video we created a domain model that we're going to use for to just create a quick demo application using Rails. And now in this third video we've got our domain model, and we can use the Rails code generating tool to get us started by generating scaffolding. So let's just do a bit of a recap. So here is the domain model that we've created for our online shop. So this is basically the kind of design, or this is the kind of the heart of our application is going to be this domain model. Okay, we've got a customer entity. A customer can place an order. An order consists of order items, which are products. Okay, and these entities have these properties. Now, what we're going to see when we actually start generating this code is we're going to start seeing the model view controller design pattern, and I think what we're going to do is we will cover the model view controller design pattern in the next video. So in this video we'll simply just see the code generator in action, and then in the next video we'll start stepping through what files did the code generator actually create, and what is their function. So remember from the first video on Rails, we've got this product entity that we've defined. Okay, that product entity is going to need a database table, okay, to store the actual products in. There's going to be this controller script, which we'll go into in more detail when we look at MVC, and our product is going to need a few basic views, okay, a few basic web pages. A web page to list all of the products, a web page to show the details of a single product, a web page to create a product, to update a product, and to delete a product. Now, I'm going to be using an implementation of Rails called Grails. The Grails is using the Groovy programming language, and the Groovy programming language runs on the Java virtual machine. So behind the scenes, it's actually Java, even though it doesn't really look like it if you look at the Grails syntax or at the Groovy syntax. I'm not going to go into much detail on Groovy. I'm just going to go ahead and code and code away. You can go onto the Groovy website and you can find lots of videos which will teach you about Groovy if you want to learn about Groovy. The other popular Rails implementation is Ruby on Rails, which is Rails using the Ruby programming language. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Let me just go into my documents folder, R&D, education, which is where I store the code that I create for these videos. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Grails tool, Grails, and I'm going to create an app. Okay, so you can see I'm using a script, the Grails script, and I'm telling it to create an app. And if I do that, it's a bit slow because it's running on the Java virtual machine, and the Java virtual machine takes a little bit of time to start up, which is one of the disadvantages of using Java virtual machine to run scripts, because they're slow. Okay, so it's giving me an error. I didn't specify an application name. Okay, so my application name is going to be online shop. Right. Okay, so it has created an application in this folder, online shop. So if I change directory into online shop, okay. Right, let's have a look and see what files it created. So I can do ls, or if you're running on Windows, you can go dir. Okay, and they're the files that it's created. So don't worry too much about Don't worry too much about all of these files. Let me see if I can find this. So this gives you a slightly better view of the files that it has created for this online shop. Okay. And we'll go through these. We'll go through these in more detail in a future video. But the first thing I need to do is I can run the Grails program script interactively like this. So the first thing I need to do is I need to create my domain object. So I'm going to start by creating the product. Okay, just like I have here, this product. So we're going to be creating all of this stuff here. Okay, so I'm running so this program that I've just opened up now, Grails. This is the code generator. Okay, so this is the program that I can use to generate code, and if I type in help, it will give me all the different options that I have. Okay, and I know what I need is called create. If I hit tab, it gives me the options, create domain class. Okay, create domain class missing required arguments domain class name. Okay, so create domain class, and it's going to be product. Okay, so it has created 2 files for me. It's created this Grails app, domain, online shop, product, Groovy, and it's also created a test for me, which I'll just skip over that. Okay, so let's have a look at this product class, at this product file that's created for me. So I've got Visual Studio Code here. I'm going to open up that folder that was created. Let's go into the folder. That's it there. All right. So it has created this particular file, Grails app domain online shop product. Again, don't worry about all of these files. Don't worry about them. This is the file. This is the important one. This is the file that has just been created. Okay, and I'm going to simplify it by just removing this constraints. Okay, that's just a detail that we don't need right now, I don't think. So it has created our domain object, our entity, and you can see it's a class, okay, called product. All right, and I'm going to start putting in the properties. Okay, so we've got these properties: name, description, image, price, stock, quantity. All right, so we've got the name. Okay, I need to give it a type. The type of this is going to be a string. Okay, semicolons are optional in Grails, which is, I'm just going to leave them off. So we've got the type, name, which is a string, description, which is a string, image, which is also going to be a string because that's going to be a file. I'm going to put a file path in there to an image file, and I'm just going to say image file path. A price. Okay, I'm going to make this price an integer. So we're going to store that in cents so we don't get any rounding errors. And then a stock quantity, and that's also going to be an integer. Stock quantity. So how much do we have in stock? Okay, so I have now taken my domain class from the design, I've implemented it in my Groovy code, And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my code generator tool. Now that I've actually defined my domain class and I've said what are all of the properties of my domain class, now the code generator has enough information to go ahead and create my database schema and actually create my database table in the database. And it has enough information to create my controller script, which we'll talk about later, and it has enough information to create these HTML pages for me. Okay, so just to show you that there's that I'm not trying to trick you, if you have a look in the views folder, we've got some files in here, but we've got nothing relating to products. And if we look in controllers, we've got a URL mappings file, but we've got nothing in there related to products. And I'm going to go ahead and use the code generator to create those files. So that is generate all. And I'm going to be generating all of these files here based from the product domain object that I've just created. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so it has rendered a template, groovy controller.groovy, okay, to this destination. So it's basically created the controller script. It's created a service script, which is something that I think is new in this version of Grails, because I don't recognize that. So I'm not going to worry too much about that. It's created a test, I'm not going to worry about that, and an integration test, I'm not going to worry about that. And what it's scaffolding complete. And then it has created a bunch of templates for the views. Okay, so let's go and see what it's created. So there's our product controller. We'll go into a bit of detail of what this controller is actually doing in a future video when we look more deeply in MVC. And it has created some views. So you can see there's a product folder here inside the views, and there's a bunch of GSP pages. And GSP pages, these are, if you open them up, it's HTML. Okay. Marketplace has extensions that can help with GSP files. I think that would be a good thing to add, but I'll do that later. So you can see it's HTML. Okay. But the reason it's called GSP is because you can include some groovy scripting inside this HTML file. Okay, so the GSP files are basically HTML files, right? And there's all of the standard stuff like CSS files and things like that. So it is actually straightforward standard web application. It's just got scripts. It's just got scripts behind it as well. Now, I've created now the controller and the views, and let's actually see what the application looks like. So run app. This will probably take about 30 seconds to run to get started. And the one thing that is missing is this database. So I haven't set up any database for my application yet. I should set up like a MySQL database for it, and I will do that in a future video. But what Grails does, just to get you started quickly, is it ships with a in-memory database. If we have a look at the Gradle file, we can see what type of in-memory database it is. H2 database. So it's this little H2 in-memory database. Okay, and it will basically just start up a database in memory so that you can get going immediately. So there you go, Grails application running at localhost 8080. Let's put this into the browser. Okay, and this is these are the views that it's created for us. Okay, so here is a link to our product controller. If we click on it, we can see the product list view. So this says product list up here. Okay, there are 0 products in here at the moment. Okay, and remember what this has done is this has created a HTML page for us to list the products, to show a product, to create a product, to update a product, and delete a product. So let's just see what HTML views it's created for us. So let's see this create product view. So new product here, this button. So you can see it set up a little navigation bar for us here. It set up a kind of header bar here. This logo we can replace with our own logo. It's set up a little footer here, but the footer is empty at the moment. So you can see it's just a little black bar. But of course we can put into this footer whatever links we want. Okay, so it's given us the basic structure of an application. Even though it's not very pretty, it's saved us a lot of time. So, and also what it's done is it's created this HTML page for us. And you can see it's used the properties that we defined in our domain class. Okay, so name, description, image file path, price, stock quantity, that is what it has used to create these labels here. Okay, and it knows that all of these fields are required by default, and I could actually come in here and I can add the constraints, which is what I deleted initially, and I can actually specify is a name required or not. And I can add quite a lot of other details that will affect the pages that are created. And we can possibly look at that in a future video, but the Grails is quite well covered with documentation and videos and etc. So I'm not gonna go over that here. I'd rather just point you to a video on Grails if you want to learn more about Grails. So I'll go ahead and create a product. If I hit create, right, you can see it's given us all this nice functionality. So a little pop-up here to tell us that the field is required. So I'll put in a product name, and let's say this product is a fishing rod. Okay. Right, and it tells me the image file path is required. I'm just going to put any old value in here. Images, products, fishing rod dot JPEG. Okay. Stock quantity, let's say we've got 10 fishing rods. A description, okay, I'm just going to put in just whatever for the description. And the price is going to be, let's say this is going to be 800 Rand. Create. Okay, so there you go. We've created our product. If we come back to our product list, there you can see the product in the product list. Okay, 800 Rand, fishing rod, etc., etc. Now, if I want to see the details, so this show product, okay, click on the link. There you go. There's the details. Now, what about update product? Well, there I've got the edit button there. It takes me to basically the same form that I had for the create. I can make this maybe 750. Update. And what about delete product? Okay, so I can delete that product. Now the one thing I just want to show you is these scaffolded views are, you know, the code generator has generated the code for you, and the reason for that is now you can go and you can edit the code yourself. So let's take this view here and let's edit the view, okay, because of course we probably don't want it just as has been generated like this. We might want to change it. Okay, so I'll come through to the show.gsp, okay, and there's the HTML, and let's tweak this HTML. wonder how shall we tweak it. Instead of saying show product, I want to take the name, and I want to have the name of the product up here. Okay. Now my Grails skills are a bit rusty, but let's see if I can remember how to do this. Is it this easy, I wonder? Let's see if it's that easy. Yeah, there you go, fishing rod. Okay, so Grails and all of the Rails implementations, whether it's Ruby on Rails or Groovy on Rails, it is a framework, and frameworks do have quite a learning curve. I mean, you can see the files that it's generated quite a lot of files here. So I mean, the one question is, what are all these files? What do they all do? And there is definitely some stuff in here that's not traditional HTML. Okay, like what is this GIF? Okay, and F display. So these are all things that come with the Grails framework. And in order to be effective with Grails, you do need to learn these, so there is a learning curve. But once you've gotten up the learning curve, then these tools allow you to be very productive and allow you to work quite quickly. So spending the time to learn these tools, frameworks, really pay off in the long run. Okay, so that's a basic introduction to the scaffolding tool, the code generation tool that comes with Rails.